Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday to you. Welcome on in to Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com. Claibs, well, we're all across the country right now. You're in Florida. I'm here in Phoenix at Radio Row. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Weather's still good here in Florida. Just left the complex just a little while ago. And realistically speaking, Joe, if the Cardinals wanted to start spring training today, they could because they have just about everybody here. The last guys, well, today, Liberatore, Wainwright, Tommy Edmond, DeYoung's been here all winter. Just about everybody's here. Brendan Donovan, I mean, the gang's all here for the most part, so they could really start this thing a week in advance if they needed to. But, it's good. The weather's good. Workouts, they come out around 10 o'clock in the morning and work out till about noon and go find a golf course to play on.
How is that? How are the rules with the World Baseball Classic with the Cardinals being?
I haven't heard yet. I haven't heard how that's going to be structured. This is the last year for the complex as we know it to be up because they're going to tear part of it down and expand it. And the word is this thing may not even be ready by next year because they're not going to tear it down until the 1st of May.
So what are they going to do?
Good question. I think what they'll do is get the Major League clubhouse ready to go.
Okay.
But where the pitching mounds are and all that stuff will be gone when you come back here. The batting cages will be gone. So they got a lot of work to do.
Your coverage of that starts next week. I guess whenever you head down there and whenever they let you into the facilities down there, you'll be starting your stuff down at spring training. I'm here, Radio Row, all week long. I got to tell you, Claibs, it's starting to pick up a little bit here today. I got here way too early this morning. Way too early. There was nobody around. The guest list compared to previous years, not that great. I think a lot of people saving up their budgets for next year.
Let me ask you this. Do you think maybe they'll fall in a little later in the week compared to
they always do. Yeah, they always fall in later in the week. But from what I'm seeing on some of the lists right now, not.
Who's the most recognizable name on the list so far?
Most recognizable name on the list right now. Oh, let me scroll through here. I mean, Laura Oakman, who does the sideline report. I got Kyle Turley and Jim McMahon together coming up on Wednesday. So,
well, maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who's the most recognizable name on the list?
I'm telling you.
Oh, that's it, huh?
Right now, the list right now, not that. I told you, it's not that great. But hey,
Jim McMahon will be good
with Kyle Turley too. That'll be fun. Those two are personalities. But tonight I'm going to the media nights out at where the Suns play, the Footprint Arena. So do some interviews there. I know there's a guy I think from Rockwood that's on the Chiefs. From around there, I know they got another St. Louis guy, a Western Illinois grad, on their defensive line. So I'll talk to him too for the Chiefs tonight and see what else we can get done out there for that. Tomorrow I'm going to go head up to the State Farm Stadium, take a tour, and see what that looks like.
Is media day tomorrow?
No, it's tonight. They do it tonight now. They do media night on Monday night, prime time. So that's You got to televise everything.
I remember Cowboys go to the Super Bowl. And Leon Lett, who I was representing at the time, he had some anxiety issues about all these cameras and microphones. And he's starting to sweat like he's going to the electric chair. So he says, that's it, I'm out of here. And so one of the handlers, one of the PR people said, well, if you don't participate, it's going to cost you $10,000. He said, go get the equipment guy. He had the equipment guy go back to his locker, bring his checkbook out. He said, I'll write it out right now. So after a little conversation, I talked to him, Jerry Jones talked to him, and he stayed, and he just sweated. And, nobody really had any real questions. They just wanted him around. But when that checkbook came out, the only thing he was missing was an ink pen, and he would have written that check out to the NFL right then and there on the spot.
You were Marshawn Lynch a few years ago. He's just there so he won't get fined. He didn't want anything to do with that either. back in the day. Some of the guys don't.
The problem is you have so many non-football people who ask you some of the most awkward questions one can ask. I think that's one of the reasons why guys are uncomfortable in doing it because, we've seen some guys really step on themselves in these situations. They're a little bit better prepared, but it's something that if you don't do it on a regular basis, you just never know where it's coming.
The opening night tonight, Claibs, it's brought to you by Gatorade Fast Twitch, Gatorade's new energy drink. I have not opened it yet. What do you think this tastes like? The flavor is cool. The flavor is cool blue.
Probably like a cool blue drink that Gatorade makes with their Gatorade.
Let's see here.
How many grams of protein?
No, it's an energy drink. Energy drink.
Ah, okay.
So
you look lively. You look lively already.
5 calories, 0 sugar, 200 milligrams of caffeine. All right, not terrible.
Okay, you have.
I got buddies. I got friends a few tables down from Albuquerque. A former co-host of mine. They have a vodka sponsor. They said the vodka sponsor sent them with 4 cases of bottles of vodka. So.
Good for them.
4 cases. So I might go grab one of those and fill.
Why don't you mix that with the Gatorade? There you
go.
Yeah,
that's what I'll do later. Yeah. Later today, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Also heading down to the Phoenix Open this week. I'll go down there. So Wednesday is the celebrity thing for that. On Wednesday, Albert Pujols is playing in that.
Not surprising. Is Charles playing in it?
I have not seen his name.
He may have to work on Thursday. So
yeah.
Well, I guess
I haven't seen his name. Albert, and Michael Phelps, and I think Emmitt Smith. I think I saw his name playing in that. But Albert, with all the new clubs that he got this past year on his retirement tour, maybe breaking those out.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I mean, he got
the Cardinals gave him. They gave him like brand new, or I guess a gift certificate, right, to go get all new customized clubs. You think he used that, or you think he gave that to somebody?
Well, his son's a pretty good player, so maybe he gave it to him.
Yeah,
I think his son's trying to get on the tour this year.
Really, Albert's?
Yeah, AJ.
Really?
Yeah, he's not a bad golfer.
Okay.
He's a captain of his college team.
I'm going to head down. I know for sure I'll be at the Phoenix Open Saturday morning. I'll head down there for that. I don't know what other days I'm going to make it down there for some of those. So lots of stuff going on. I believe Bob Nightingale tomorrow. He's from Phoenix. He lives here, so he'll stop by and we'll talk a little baseball with him. That's what I'm trying. I mean, there's so many of these football people out here that double up. That have that passion for baseball, but they might be employed by the NFL. And talk Cardinals with them. They want to talk about that here and talking about who's going to win the game on Sunday.
Well, have you seen the H-Man yet?
I have not. I texted. He texted me yesterday. My hope is to have him over here.
You only have to ask once.
Torrey Holt, who I think should go in the Hall of Fame this weekend.
I didn't even.
Sorry,
I
didn't even
take a long look at the finalists.
Here, just a little unstable.
I didn't look at the finalists this year. I know he is one of them, right?
Yeah, he's got to make it in this year. He has to be. I think is Andre Johnson this year.
I believe so.
I think Andre Johnson's on the list this year. 15 finalists announced for. Let me close up a few things here to get a little connection just a little better for this. But the 15 finalists for this year's class: Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Albert Lewis, Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Williams.
Okay, so here's who should go in. No questions asked. Let's go down the list. Give me the list again.
Jared Allen.
No.
Willie Anderson.
Keep going. No.
Rondé Barber.
No.
Dwight Freeney.
No.
Devin Hester.
Yes.
Devin Hester. I'm going to say yes. Yeah. I'm saying yes on Devin Hester.
Okay.
Yeah. Best kick returner of all time. Torrey Holt.
One of Torrey, yes.
Andre Johnson.
No. Not
Albert
before
Lewis.
Torrey Holt. Yes.
Darrelle Revis.
Yes.
Joe Thomas.
Yes.
Zach Thomas.
No.
DeMarcus Ware.
Not this year.
Reggie Wayne.
No.
Patrick Willis.
No.
Darren Woodson.
Yes.
Did you keep
Now,
track of who you said yes and no to?
As I say those names, the ones I said no to doesn't mean that they couldn't go in the future. But I think sometimes we get caught up in this first ballot thing a little too soon when there's some guys who've been more than worthy, who've been waiting a long time. So I think there's some guys on that list that, you know, I think Revis was as good of a corner as it was in his generation. Darren Woodson was as good of a safety, played with some really good teams, with really good players. And there's some guys, like I said, that could probably get in later, but not this round.
That's when I look at when you look at Torrey, you look at who he's going up against as far as the other two wide receivers, Reggie Wayne and Andre Johnson, both of whom have Hall of Fame resumes. Torrey definitely should be going in before Reggie Wayne.
Well, he should be going in for Andre Johnson. What year did Andre Johnson?
Yeah.
What Super Bowl team was he on?
Good point. How many playoff games did he win in his career?
Thank you.
So, all right, I'll go Devin Hester. I'll say Darrelle Revis, Torrey Holt. You know what? If Joe Thomas makes it, London Fletcher should be it.
Is London
because
Fletcher
the one
a
thing that Joe
finalist?
Thomas, no, did not make the finalists.
Well, see, here's the thing: Joe Thomas and London Fletcher didn't miss many games.
That's I think what makes Joe Thomas so attractive on this list is I don't think he missed a single game his entire career.
He didn't give up many sacks either. So I think he's the first. You know, he might be the last good two-way offensive lineman. Might be the last one.
So that's kind of how I look at that, how I think about that. So that'll be so H we'll talk with him about that. I imagine Balzer is the one that's presenting Torrey.
See, I got a problem with their process because if you don't have a guy who sticks up for you, then you don't go in. Somebody has to present a case on your behalf, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
The bottom line is
for certain guys, yeah.
If you covered that player, if you were a certified card-carrying member of the Writers Association, then your vote means more than some guy who's going on the internet or watching NFL films. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're running into a generation of guys who haven't even seen these players play, and they're voting. And the worst case scenario is baseball. Doing a little research the other day.
Oh yeah.
Aramis Ramirez, remember him? You remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He's had better numbers than Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
The only thing he didn't have were the gold gloves. You know, there's a ton of guys. Omar Vizquel should be in the Hall of Fame. That's another subject for another sport. But I think we got to come up with a better method of voting players in. If these writers think this is such a sacred title to have, being a voting member.
And every year, though, you're adding more and more people to that voter list who didn't see any of these guys
didn't
play.
Cover them. You know what? Here's the thing. Didn't cover them, didn't see them. So I got a problem with that. Charles Haley should have been in 10 years before he went in.
Yeah, and what is it? You have to be 10 years in the baseball writers to get a vote for the Hall of Fame?
Well, apparently I don't even know how that works anymore, because last I saw they were handing out cards like they were handing out bus passes. Locally. Guys buy their way into the association now. What the hell is that all about?
Then 10 years later they get the vote for that. So yeah, we'll talk with H later this week at some point. Whenever I see him around here, we'll talk with him about that coming up. We got some NBA stuff we need to talk about. We got a lot of NBA stuff that we got to talk about. And that's kind of the big story here on Radio Row. That's what you hear. If you hear a lot of the live shows talking, that's what they're discussing right now. It's the Kyrie Irving trade. We will talk about that when we come back. It's Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura.
There's always been a bright side to living in downstate Illinois. Ameren, Illinois is making it even brighter with a little help from the sun. Right now, we're building a next-generation solar facility to bring you cleaner energy for generations to come. It's good for the environment, your neighborhood, and everyone living in downstate Illinois. That's brighter thinking. That's energy at work. Learn how you can participate in solar programs at amerenillinois.com/renewables.
Back here, Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com. There on the screen you can see I'm out in Phoenix, Arizona right now and Radio Row for Super Bowl 57. Claibs out in Jupiter, and Claibs brought to you down there. Hey, Munganess Alton Toyota, who he used to drive down that brand new Highlander, Claibs. And I know that you sent me some pictures of it earlier. It looks really nice.
Well, we'll get those pictures up on the board here soon, but I got to tell you, man, it's the talk of the town down here. I've had multiple compliments on the look and the style of this Highlander. And if you haven't seen one yourself, you can go online or you're going to check some out on our website. But this Highlander is a hot vehicle, man. It's a hybrid. They can do a lot of different things, and spacious. It's got every bell and whistle you can imagine on a car. Even, Joe, the other day, I was driving through a school zone where you had to slow down. Pops up on my screen, entering a school zone. I mean, that's how sensitive of a vehicle it is. But the best thing about it is, at Munganess Toyota, you can go over there and they have a selection. You can go online and pick your car and build your car right there online. And when you get done with it, you can go pick it up. The service that comes with dealing with Munganess Burkhardt Toyota is something that you won't see everywhere else, because now with a short supply of vehicles, these dealers can tell you whatever they want to tell you and charge you whatever they want to charge you. Not at Munganess, because of the fact they know service is where this is at. You got to come back and get your car serviced. You might want to get another car for your kid or somebody else in your family. The service that you're going to get at Munganess, because they have a lot of experienced people there, is unlike anywhere you're going to find it when it comes to Toyotas in St. Louis. So if you're thinking about a vehicle, you're not sure, you can either go online or you can go over to Alton and check them out and see it for yourself. If you're looking for a pre-owned car, they have plenty of those on the lot as well. This is where you start. This is where you'll finish when it comes to buying a car at Munganess Burkhardt Toyota.
I was driving a Toyota Tacoma yesterday, Claibs. Have you heard of the app called Turo, Turo?
Yeah.
Okay, so I rented, first time I've ever rented a car through Turo yesterday, and it was a 2021 Toyota Tacoma that I got. This thing, it's like Airbnb for cars. Claibs, yeah. This guy just brought the car to the Airbnb I'm staying at this week, just left it in the driveway, and he was like, hey, it's there for you. Here's where I hit the keys. And drove it all day yesterday, picked up a friend from the airport, got groceries for the week, drove down, set up here. All day long, $100 for to rent the car for the day. Saved me so much on Ubers all around town.
Yeah, I've been doing a little Ubering myself here recently. Had dinner with two of the best, Barry Weinberg, former trainer for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Ray Barilli, the longtime trainer for the St. Louis Blues. And instead of driving down, we Ubered down.
Yeah.
And it was a good ride. I mean, but I think you have a chance to get one of those cars. Now that you got that hooked up, I bet you'll be looking for Toyotas from this point on.
Yeah, that was, yeah. And I dropped it off last night. I'm not renting a car down here. I'm staying too close. I don't need to rent a car, and no reason to drive around that much this week either. So I'll be Ubering a lot of places, but that Turo app, if you're somewhere and you need a car for just a day, check it out. Turo. This is just a free live read for them for that. Speaking of, hey, all of the live reads and everything else, we were talking about, you're down at spring training. I'll be down there next month. Have you seen Kamish? Has he made his way into?
No, I don't think he comes in until later next week.
All right, so
but toward the end of the month.
Yeah, he starts all of his stuff for Claibs Online that he'll be doing with us, and cannot wait for that to see what his first writing is and the podcast that you guys are going to do together. It's going to be a lot of fun having Kamish part of what we do here on Claibs Online. So Claibs, you big news yesterday. Kyrie Irving says that he wants to be traded. Brooklyn Nets They trade him, send him to Dallas. You and I were texting about it beforehand. I thought the Lakers were going to make a nice little run at him.
You know why they weren't going to get him? Because the owner for New Jersey told Sean Marks, you trade him anywhere but L.A. I don't want him going to a place he wanted to go to.
So, but him going to Dallas now, pairing him up with Luka.
Not enough. They can't guard Carr. No. Defensively, they were already bad. They're going to even be worse now. Kyrie can play defense when he wants to, but he just don't want to. So I really kind of feel like this is kind of a unilateral move. I just don't see where Dallas made themselves that much better. Now, those two together are going to score 60 points a night. Mm-hmm. Problem is they don't have enough else to make up for the other 45 to 50 points they're going to need every night because they don't guard well, and they're going to be even worse. I just don't see this being the best move. Now, they'll be better than the Sacramentos and the bottom end teams in the conference, but they're not ready for Memphis. They're not ready for Dallas. Denver. They're not ready for Golden State. They're not ready for those teams yet. I mean, they'll score a bunch, but I just don't think they can play enough defense. And this is a rental.
Sacramento being the 3 seed right now in the West. That's if you haven't looked at the NBA standings in a while, be prepared to see that. That kind of jumps out at you out of nowhere.
Mike Brown is doing a phenomenal job there, like he does everywhere in his first year. Mm-hmm. He's got some talent to work with. So they're not a surprise that they're playing well. Now, can they hold up? I think will be the question.
So let me ask you, so you look at the Eastern Conference, you look at the Western Conference. You see who is making a run right now with the playoffs in both of those. Which path is going to be easier? Is it going to be easier to get out of the East or out of the West right now?
I think the West is more balanced. I don't think there's a dominant team in the West. All of them have shortcomings. So I don't think there's a real dominant team. I think when you look at the East, obviously Boston, Philadelphia's played really well. Milwaukee is a perennial champion. Those are the teams you start to pay attention to. And then you have another group of teams that are trying to make their way. New Jersey was one of them. It'll be interesting to see how New Jersey plays, or Brooklyn rather, how they play without Kyrie at this point. They got a bunch of no names, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. But when it's all said and done, I think that those 3 teams that I mentioned in Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Boston are the cream of the crop in that conference. And then there's a real big gap between the rest of them and the other teams in the conference.
Now that the Nets have traded away Kyrie, any chance that they trade away Durant before the deadline?
I don't know what you can get for him. I mean, because it's probably a better deal. But again, you got to think about the salary matchups and making sure you're good cap-wise. I think there's some teams that's going to kick the tires on him. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I'm sure that they will consult with Kevin Durant on teams of interest. I could easily see him going back to the Western Conference. I could easily see him back with the Golden State Warriors.
I was just talking to a station here from Philadelphia, and they were saying that Durant's made it clear he wants to play with Embiid.
Well, that would be a good combination. I just don't know. Well, because James Harden has kind of changed his style, that might work. I tell you what, they'd be a hard matchup on the block, that's for sure.
Yeah. So,
I say that, but both of those guys like shooting threes. 2 7-footers shooting threes.
When is trade deadline? What? It's this week.
It's Thursday.
Who else? Who else gets moved then? What do your Lakers do?
They won't do anything. It's a disaster. I mean, they don't have any draft choices. You're moving Westbrook just so you can clear some cap space. But, it's just not going anywhere, in my opinion.
So the Thursday this week, you'll have the trade deadline. And we don't really have an NBA. We don't have an NBA guy on the table for us, do we? Sit and talk, break all that down. We got 2-man game.
Yeah, we can find
they're
somebody.
Hot and heavy in the A-10 right now. In that.
You know what? Let me tell you, this A-10 is one of the most embarrassing conferences in the country. They're only going to get one team. None of those teams are very good as far as consistency is concerned. And SLU has to get out of this conference. Okay. They need to be in the Big East. And I'm going to put this one right on the doorstep of Chris May, the athletic director. You know what you need to do. Your president knows what he needs to do. Get out of this conference, get in the Big East, where at least you have some more central corridor rivals. You have any rivals in the A10? So you got to get that fixed.
By the way, speaking of embarrassing, this past weekend in local college hoops, Mizzou loses to Mississippi State. Illinois loses to Iowa. But what was even more embarrassing, the whole Illinois Orange Crush situation. That they came out, they tried to buy tickets through the Boys and Girls Club to get there. They kind of disguised it as a charity of sorts, but they were just trying to get their fan section over to Iowa for the game. Iowa caught wind of it. They rescinded all the tickets. And then the Orange Crush complained about it, only to be called out by Iowa for what they did. And, I mean, it was kind of shady all around what they tried to do.
Well, you see a lot more of that. You know, the National Hockey League is famous for that, especially like Nashville, where, you know, out-of-towners can't buy tickets. I don't know what the right answer is here on this. You know, there's always somebody trying to steal a base somewhere along the line. And I don't know how you remedy that. I mean, you know, the university, it's up to them to sell the tickets to who they want to. So I don't know where you go from here. I guess both teams should be glad they have good players.
Claibs, we are going to take our final break of the show. We need to talk about what you did this past weekend down there in Southern Florida. So
I don't know if I can talk about that.
Well, we'll talk about whatever you were able to do. I think all of Twitter saw who you were with this past weekend. At least half of his face, about right there. Like,
yeah. Well, haven't you seen him do that breaking news thing? It's always like his head.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back here to talk about that right after this.
St. Louis Acura has an unbeatable selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. We have over 200 vehicles on hand and in transit. Get the new 2023 MDX or Integra with up to $1,000 in loyalty. Rebates and financing as low as 3.9% for 60 months. You can also lease the 2023 MDX for as low as $599 a month. Or get a pre-owned certified MDX with 3.99% financing. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.
Claibs final segment here of Lunch with Claibs and Joe. We are at claibsonline.com and all across platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Find it all week long. Claibs is down to Jupiter. Spring training starts in a couple days. All the team is there getting ready for the 2023 season. I'm in Phoenix all week long. Waste management, Radio Row, everything else that's going on out here all week. So we got a lot to cover all week long. The Claibs this past weekend, you went down to South Beach because that's the Florida Panthers were hosting the NHL All-Star Game. Who all did you hang out with? I know you were hanging out with Kevin Weeks.
Yeah, Weeksy and I went to dinner and hung out, and a couple of other guys that we knew, Steve Levy and some other guys, ran across them, and we had not seen each other since the Stanley Cup Finals of 2019, where there's this one picture I have. I don't know if you've seen it. It's Levy, George Peros, who runs the safety, Chaser, Elliot Friedman, all these hockey guys, Darren Pang. It's one of the best pictures we've ever taken at Cafe Napoli. And so somebody said, we haven't seen each other since then. And I got to thinking, I was like, yeah, you're right. And so ran into the commissioner, Gary Bettman, 30 years as commissioner in the National Hockey League. Now, I knew him before.
Is that
probably so?
To have a job like that seems
probably
too long.
So. Yeah, probably so. I knew him when he was in the NBA, so I think I've known Gary Bettman for like 35 years. And we were just catching up, talking about how much the game has changed off the surface with salary cap and defined gross revenue and things of that nature. But I think you're right. I don't think a commissioner should serve that long. I think 10 years, 12 might be the most, because I think once you put your fingerprints on a sport like he has, where he's virtually eliminated fighting, he's broken the union twice. He's done a lot of things that have made the league better, although the TV situation is not good right now, where the ratings are down 22% in the U.S. And it's one of those things where they're trying to figure out what's next. How can they liven up their sport? And I think all the skills competition at the rink and away from the rink, it's one weekend where it's a gimmick. Okay, and I get it. I don't know how many more people are attracted to it. But, when you go back to the commissioner, he's done a lot of good things for this league, too, that shouldn't be overlooked.
Did you go to any of the skill? What all did you attend this week?
The Friday night skills competition, which was cool. Was it Friday or Saturday? Friday.
Fridays,
yeah. It was cool. I mean, I wanted to see the fastest skater. That's always something I've been intrigued with. Just watching those guys cross over like they do and find those edges like they can. So it was fun. It wasn't as well attended as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I think that, when you have fans that come to these events, they don't know what to expect. I don't know what they were charging for tickets. It just wasn't as well attended early as I thought it would be, because they stretched this thing out. This thing is like a marathon. This thing went on for like 2.5 hours. And I'm like, okay, enough is enough. But it was a good.
They get right back into games already. They're playing.
No, they don't play until Saturday. Blues don't play until Saturday.
The Blues don't, but there are games going on tonight.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I know.
I assumed everybody was off.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games tonight on the NHL schedule.
Well,
maybe
that's what I'll do tonight.
The Coyotes are playing tonight here in Phoenix, or I guess wherever the hell their stadium is.
They're playing in a college rink.
The Mullet Arena in Tempe. Tickets for the game. Because I looked, wouldn't be able to go tonight with the opening night, but I looked and tickets are just out of this world for those for the games because they're so limited.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. So they're selling out every night, and the tickets are I think the cheapest ticket to get in tonight was like $150. But now with all the people coming in, I imagine that's going to go up even higher. Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl?
I don't know. Have you seen the Coyotes play this year?
But I think it's more for who they're playing and the atmosphere. They play the Wild.
No, I'll pass on that one.
Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl stuff?
No, you know what? I watched about 2 minutes of it. No, I'm good.
The only highlights that I've seen are the guys that were trying to do the long drive competition.
Yeah, I didn't even watch all of that. I mean, they had so many gimmicks going. And, I guess for me, and the same thing can be said for the NHL, who sits in a room and comes up with this sort of stuff? I mean, do you hire somebody from an amusement park or something to be a consultant?
I mean, you look at STL City SC. They have Matt Seebeck is their chief experience officer, and his job is to figure out how fans are going to have the best experience at these games. And I think places like the NFL, they go, okay, what can we do that will draw the most eyes to us this week for this? And how do we get ratings up?
How do we do it, and how do we keep them?
Right. And I think one of the big ways of doing something like that is, that they've partnered recently with Nickelodeon, and you get the games on there.
Yeah.
I mean, Claibs, that Christmas Day Nickelodeon game, my son locked into it.
It's not a bad move. But here's what makes it even better. Now that we've come to the conclusion that flag football can be safer for a kid than tackle football at a certain age, now kids can get involved in football on that level. And if they see the pros doing it for the Pro Bowl, it makes it even more hip, makes it even more cool. So I don't begrudge them for trying that, because once you put a helmet on, your life changes forever.
Right. No, it's a good idea to do that. I mean,
this is a good weekend to do that sort of stuff, because you had the auto race out of the LA Coliseum that looked like they were at the Schnucks. I mean, it was so small as far as the track was concerned.
I tried watching a little bit of that. I couldn't get into it.
It's too hard. It's like the old track in Tennessee, and I can't think of the name of the track. It's a really small track similar to this, and that's not any
Bristol?
fun.
Is that Bristol?
Yeah, Bristol, Tennessee. And then you have the PGA. You had the Oh, shoot. It's the first event of the year for CBS. Anyway, you had a bunch of golfers that none of us have even heard of that were in contention. So now you're trying to figure out who these people are. They changed their broadcast crew up quite a bit because now that Nick Faldo's no longer doing it, it was really kind of awkward. The weather was not good early. And so this is a weekend. If you want to roll something out, this is the weekend you can get away with it because all eyes will be on next Sunday in Arizona.
Yeah. So that's where we will be all week long with whatever we come up with this week. Just keep it locked in to Claibs Online, all the social media accounts, and see what we come up with this week in Phoenix, Arizona. Claibs, what do you have lined up for the week?
Well, a few things around here. Try and get with Alex Ferrario later in the week and talk some hockey as the Blues get ready for action this Saturday against the Arizona Coyotes or Phoenix Coyotes or whatever they are this week. We'll talk a little of that and kind of get an idea of what to look forward to for the rest of the National Hockey League season. And certainly we'll be talking some football with Howard this week as well, as we'll chop it up with him about the Super Bowl. Sounds
good. Hey, he is Mike Claiborne in Jupiter. I'm Joe Roderick out in Phoenix. This has been Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura. Keep all of your eyes and ears locked at claibsonline.com all week long for all kinds of new content.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.